So they're trying to make it illegal for the government to do what it's supposed to do and protect you from a $1 trillion pharma company that's poisoning you. So you know how vaccine manufacturers have a legal shield from civil lawsuits if their vaccine injures people, which they do all the time? So you can't sue them. Well, guess who else wants this now? Monsanto Bayer, the people who make Roundup, the Roundup which is giving people cancer. Now they want protection from the same thing that the Big Pharma has with vaccines. They want the same thing with glyphosate. You know, they spray on all your wheat that you eat, which is why people think they have gluten allergies. It's probably because they're spraying glyphosate or folic acid on the stuff that you eat, which they don't do in other countries.
Yeah. You know, Bayer, formerly IG Farben, the Nazi pharmaceutical
That's
company?
Right. That's right. Yeah. Monsanto. They used to be, so Bayer, which used to be called IG, what was it called?
IG Farben.
IG Farben. They made the gas that they used at the death camps in World War II.
And Tylenol.
So they had to rename their company.
Sorry. Aspirin, Bayer Aspirin. Tylenol was a competitor. And remember, Tylenol had the cyanide in the packages?
Yes,
that's why we have childproof.
in Chicago when I grew up,
Yeah. Well, some might suspect that might have been a little corporate sabotage from old IG Farben because Tylenol was beating aspirin.
Bayer AG wants no one to know, but the pesticide manufacturer is potentially just 2 votes away from the golden ticket it has wanted ever since acquiring St. Louis-based Monsanto in 2018. So Bayer now owns Monsanto. Oh. I didn't know that. Monsanto is the ones who make the Roundup and the glyphosate, but now it's Bayer.
Two great tastes that taste great together.
A provision tucked deep in a spending bill to fund the environment to the EPA and the Interior Department would effectively end lawsuits from plaintiffs claiming Bayer's pesticide Roundup and its active ingredient glyphosate gave them cancer. Wow. So to date, Bayer has paid roughly $11 billion in settlements to about 100,000 people. So 100,000 people sued Bayer, or Monsanto, and Bayer over the cancer that they were given by Roundup and glyphosate, and they won to the tune of $11 billion. Of course, they had to dole out $11 billion for lawsuits against the damage they committed to their product. What? It's totally normal business procedure. Totally normal. We're just going to pay out $11 billion, and we're going to keep... How in the world does the government allow this product to keep being sold? Well, I guess it's because your government's completely corrupt, which is what this story shows you again. Not only are they corrupt murderers, but now they want to get the government to give them a shield from murdering people, and they want to keep on murdering them, which is what they're doing.
How is it that they...
But keep being angry at RFK. You keep being angry at RFK and not Big Pharma.
If you had an $11 billion settlement, Jimmy, against you, who stays in business after that? Somebody that makes trillions of dollars.
Yes.
Like they could eat that no problem and come back for more.
63,000 lawsuits are currently pending against Bayer. Most of these cases are in state courts, where the lawsuits typically allege Bayer's Roundup label failed to warn about potential cancer risks, referencing a 2015 International Agency for Research study that found glyphosate was probably carcinogenic to humans. No,
or as Whoopi Goldberg calls it, getting between her and her gynecologist.
Yes, as Whoopi Goldberg calls it. The Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act prohibits the sale of any pesticide that is misbranded. Plaintiffs often successfully argue that lack of cancer warning on the label amounts to FIFRA-defined misbranding. So that's Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, Rodenticide Act. So that's the FIFRA. Bayer has requested the Supreme Court take up whether that is indeed the case. But a Supreme Court win for Bayer could become moot if the pesticide giant has its way in Congress. The proposal follows Bayer's intense lobbying of lawmakers. Section 453 of H.R. Bill 4754, the Department of the Interior, Environment, and Regulated Agencies Appropriation Act, lays out Bayer's get-out-of-jail-free card. Here it is. None of the funds made available by this or any other act may be used to issue or adopt any guidance or any policy, take any regulatory action, or approve any labeling or change to such labeling that is inconsistent with or in any respect different from the conclusions of a human health assessment performed pursuant to the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Roticide Act, and B, a carcinogenicity classification for a pest. So they're trying to make it illegal for the government to do what it's supposed to do and protect you from a $1 trillion pharma company that's poisoning you.
You know, I'm sure that George Clooney, the star of Michael Clayton, remember that?
Yeah, remember that?
Which was about this. I'm sure we'll be hearing from him and all the celebs about this huge problem that's about to happen.
On the face of it, the language appears innocuous, and that's how Bayer is selling it. Bayer spokesperson Brian Leak insisted Section 453 is nothing more than routine business, a normal part of Bayer's political engagement. Meanwhile, Representative Mike Simpson, a Republican from Idaho, and chairman of the Appropriations Subcommittee that oversees environmental agencies, also downplayed Section 453 at a July hearing. I wonder how much money he takes from Bayer. The purpose of the language is to clarify existing law. The states cannot require a pesticide label that is different from the EPA's label. The language ensures that we do not have a patchwork of state labeling requirements. It ensures that one state is not establishing the label for the rest of the states. In other words, move along. There's nothing to see here. Except there's plenty to see. Like, should Section 453 become law, the only pesticide labels permitted must be based on a carcinogenicity classification of human health assessment. And since EPA does not classify glyphosate as a carcinogen, misbranded lawsuits would become moot. If EPA wanted to change the label, Section 453 would require the agency to conduct a new assessment on whether glyphosate is a carcinogen, a process that can take a minimum of 4 years and sometimes longer than a decade. In the meantime, Bayer will argue it can't disclose potential harms that are different from the EPA-approved label, a label that currently discloses no potential cancer harm from glyphosate. What an irony. It's very insidious and dangerous because Section 453 not only would apply to glyphosate, but some 57,000 other active pesticide ingredients. What if independent research discovered new evidence of a pesticide danger? Too bad. Section 453 ties the EPA's hands, preventing new immediate public label warnings.
Jimmy, hold that thought. We got to go to commercial. Sorry, I'm being paid to whoopee this story.
I mean, so if the EPA approved it, then I guess there's nothing to worry about, right? I mean, they're such believers in animal rights that they don't even want to risk the life of a lab rat to find out if their product is poisonous. That's how great these guys are.
Now, if we knew we could figure it out by having sandflies eat a dog's head, yes, we would look into it, Jimmy. But this, I'm afraid this is out of our hands.
I think they should take a bottle of glyphosate and put a baby's picture on the front of it because then people will be like, oh, how cute, pretty baby. And then their brains just shut off.
Yeah, like the Gerber, who's the Gerber baby? What's his name? The famous Humphrey Bogart baby, put him on that glyphosate.
But we forget Bayer. We forgive Bayer for providing the gas that killed those people in death camps during World War II, just like we forgive Mercedes because we like their cars.
Yeah, or Chanel, or Diddy when he changes his name again.
Anti-pesticide groups are sounding alarms, and they should. There's likely little chance Section 453 survives Democrat scrutiny in the U.S. Senate. It might squeak by the U.S. House. Bayer is reportedly twisting arms of lawmakers in Farm Belt states. Bayer is desperate to put glyphosate lawsuits behind it. Here's one surefire way to get it done. Stop producing glyphosate. How about you do that? No, can't do that. Makes us too much money. $11 billion in lawsuits, that's just the price of doing business, baby. Research and bring the market a pesticide alternative. How about you have a different alternative for this pesticide? And how about you stop expecting Congress or the courts to clean up your ill-fated decision to buy Monsanto?
I mean, it almost sounds like this Nazi drug company that's still around wanted to poison the populace.
It's almost
the way
like
I'm
that.
taking it.
It's almost like that.
I know they're reformed now, much like the Azov of pharmaceuticals. They've totally reformed.
October 19th will be in Irvine, California. We'll be in Australia. Then we'll be in Burbank, California the day after Thanksgiving. And then Pottstown, Pennsylvania, December 6th. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.